This is Larry Nimmer behind the camera, and I'm interviewing.
Hi, I'm Cameron Bernstein. I'm 18 years old, and I'm a junior Carpinteria 2024 nominee.
Well, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much.
What else would you say about yourself if someone asked to say, tell me about yourself?
Well, I currently attend Carpinteria High School, where I'm heavily involved with the ASB. I'm actually currently the ASB president, but I've held class presidencies over the past 3 years, so that's something that I'm definitely very involved in. Other than that, on campus, I'm also involved with the Rotary Interact Club, MESA Club, which is mathematics, engineering, science. And outside of school, I love going for walks on the beach, hanging out with my friends, listening to live music. Oh, I think that sums me up pretty well.
Sounds good. What community service, if any, have you done?
So I currently work at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in the medical intensive care unit, the MICU. And there I assist the nurses with transporting patients, ensuring that all of the patients are comfortable, meeting their needs, and also helping the nurses, restocking the nurse carts and all of the other supplies, just making their lives a little bit easier. Aside from that, I also have worked with the local theater company, Lights Up Theater Company, putting on large-scale productions. I mostly work backstage. In fact, I've actually been the head of backstage management, which was a huge undertaking, but it was something that was very rewarding to see those shows that we'd been practicing for months come to fruition.
Well, what's the name again of the organization?
Lights Up Theater Company. Yeah. They put on shows at the Marjorie Luke Theater in Santa Barbara. And on top of that, I've also just done community service projects through my school, such as beach cleanups and everything, making sure that this Carpinteria community we live in is as beautiful as it can be.
Well, it sounds like you're very accomplished. Why do you think you were chosen as a Junior Carpinteria of the Year finalist?
Well, it was an absolute honor. There were so many applicants who were so deserving of this award, and I think that I think it was the way that I kind of presented my accomplishments as it's very well-rounded what I've done, I would say. I worked both in the Carpinteria community and the greater community, helping out on my school campus, but also helping out with various other people that are in the Carpinteria community I would never have gotten to interact with otherwise, from working with Rotary at the avocado festivals to, interacting with young kids at beach cleanups.
Are there any other hobbies or interests you have outside of school?
Well, like I said, I love listening to live music, going to concerts, especially at the Santa Barbara Bowl, or listening to, local bands, Kamikaze, the Upbeat. Those are things that I really enjoy doing. I love playing beach volleyball with my friends. I also consider myself a surf photographer, but I'm really an amateur. I just enjoy getting out to Rincon, tar pits, taking pictures of the surfers, editing them, and posting them on Instagram. That's something that I really enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, I heard you mention the Upbeat and Kamikaze.
Yeah.
What well-known artists do you like?
Oh, that's a tough one. So I grew up with my dad's music taste because we would drive around and he would quiz me on who was singing different songs that he would just randomly play in the car. I really like the White Stripes. I'm a big fan of the Lumineers, which is a newer band. I also love 50s music, so like Dion and Ricky Nelson. Overall, my music taste is all over the place.
Okay, neat. What would you say are your strong skills?
I would say that being an ASB, I've really had to learn how to be a good communicator over email and in person, and those are some skills that have definitely paid off just in my day-to-day life, but it's also given me a good, what am I trying to say here? It's also just very much conditioned me on how to speak to adults, which people always tell me that I'm actually fairly good at. So there's that. But also, I think that I'm just a compassionate person. I always try and hear people out and, make sure that everyone's needs are being met, but that nobody feels less than someone else, etc.
Nice. Tell me anything you care to share about your education. Did you go through Carp schools your whole way? And what schools did you go to? And tell me anything about it.
So I actually didn't go to CARP schools my whole life. I was born and raised here, but I decided to go to Santa Barbara for middle school. I had a very unique opportunity. I was very fortunate to go to Santa Barbara Middle School. And Santa Barbara Middle School, some people know it as the mountain biking school or the outdoor education school. So I was given a lot of amazing opportunities there. I was able to mountain bike across California. I had opportunities to go canoeing in the Colorado River. I won't bore you with all of the trips that I was able to go on, but I had a very unique opportunity there, and I would not have traded that experience for the world. I recognize that I'm very fortunate to have been able to do that. However, after middle school, I went back to Carpinteria High School, and that's also been an amazing experience, reconnecting with all my friends from preschool, elementary school, and at Carpinteria High, I've been exposed to a great science department, which is actually why I've decided I want to go into the sciences when I'm older. Mrs. DeWitt and Mr. Gomez are actually two of the teachers that I could name that have had a very big influence on my progression as a scientist and have really opened my eyes to all the doors that are out there. Aside from that, Carpinteria being the community that it is, I love going to school every day, seeing people that I know, being taught by teachers that my sisters were taught by, and it's just a really unique experience overall.
How do you get to school every day, and what part of town do you live in?
I live over by Toro Canyon, so I drive to school every day. I take the 192.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. What are your plans for the future, both college and or profession?
So I'm currently going through the struggle that every senior is of trying to figure out where they're going to school next year. Right now for me, it's really between the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA. Both schools are offering me amazing opportunities. The only thing that's kind of holding me back from Michigan is that it's not in California, and being born and raised here, I wouldn't really want to trade that for the world. But I think that no matter where I decide to go, that it's going to be a really amazing experience and open up a lot of doors for me in the future. However, at both schools, I really want to study computational biology, which is a mix of biology, mathematics, and computer science. I hope to work in medical research in the future, working with both biology and computer science to work on genetics research for genetically linked diseases such as cancer.
Is there anything you would like to have changed about either Carpinteria or any of our schools?
I will say that I didn't mention this earlier, but I work out at a lab at UCSB. I work in a microbiology lab doing an independent research project, but I'm mentored by a PhD student. And I got that internship through my own work and making connections with professors out at UCSB. But I had always kind of hoped going through high school that there would be more opportunities out in the community, both Carpinteria and beyond, for students like myself who are interested in the sciences to see what opportunities are out there for them. Especially as a high school student, it can be hard to find labs or establishments that are willing to take you and kind of mentor you and show you the ropes behind different science professions. So I really hoped that Carpinteria High School in the future will establish some sort of internship program connecting not only students that are interested in the sciences, but all professions with people in the community who are willing to mentor students and show them, what their future could look like.
Any thoughts of anything different you'd like in the town of Carpinteria?
I mean, I love Carpinteria. I can't really say that there's anything I would change, to be quite honest. I really wish, though, that, people will talk about how the bluffs are going to be developed or the tea time over there. And I went to the City Hall Architectural Board review, and I think that our community does a really good job we've been fighting off, big development over the past few years. I just hope that when I come back from college or when I eventually hope to have kids and settle down here, that those beautiful areas that we've been fighting so hard to protect don't become developed in the future.
What advice do you have for kids who are coming up in school to do well in school?
Well, hard work, everybody will tell you. It's such a cliche to say, but hard work really does pay off. Especially for high schoolers, though. I know that it can be a little bit scary entering high school. I mean, you're kind of confronting your future, really, when you get into high school, and the rest of your life, you can really see it ahead of you. But don't take that time for granted. Don't hope to grow up too fast, and take every opportunity, both social, academic, that is presented to you. You might not want to take harder classes because there's more of a workload, but those classes could open up a lot of doors for you, and you might discover something that you love. So definitely look into every opportunity and just don't squander your time that you have.
Is there anything else we should know about you?
I wouldn't say so. I think that, like I said earlier, this is a great honor to be selected for Junior Carpinterian of the Year, and I'm so fortunate to be considered.
Well, thank you, and congratulations, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
This is Larry Nimmer behind the lens, and you are?
Liz Alpazar.
And Liz, what are you up for?
I'm a nominee for the Junior Carpinterian.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
So I'm a senior at Carpinteria High School. I played 3 varsity sports, being volleyball, basketball, and softball. I'm a first-generation high school and future college student, but I do have an older sister who's attending UCLA. I've lived in Carpinteria my whole life. I was born in Santa Barbara, and I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, great. Have you done community service, and if so, what?
Yes, so I've done some small hours here and there, such as participating in some like sports events at the high school, just helping out with some track events, boys volleyball events. I've also was a CIT at the Girls Inc. summer camp, and I've also accumulated a lot of hours volunteering at the Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital as a patient and visitor ambassador.
Okay, nice. Why do you think you were chosen for a finalist for Junior Carpinterian of the Year?
So I think everyone who was nominated was really, really worthy of being here today, but I think my extracurriculars really show my passion for what I want to do, which is one day working in healthcare and making it more accessible. So working at the Cottage Hospital has made me really aware of how inaccessible healthcare has been to some people. I see some people worrying about their medical bills when they should be worrying about their health. I also interned at a clinic to work with the public affairs team, so I was able to step out into the community and show everyone where there is accessible healthcare to them. I've participated in clubs such as MESA at my school, which is an engineering and science and mathematics club, which is what I want to pursue. And on top of that, I've participated in other extracurriculars outside of school, including going on an advocacy trip to Washington, D.C. and advocating for healthcare to Salud Carbajal.
Nice. Well, what was Washington, D.C. like?
Oh, it was great. It was my first time going. I went this last summer, and
Was it different in any way than you thought it would be?
Yeah, it definitely was. So I didn't get to go in 8th grade because financial reasons for my family, but this last year, it was definitely different. I think all the streets were so pretty, and seeing all the Capitol buildings and being in them and getting to talk to representatives just let me feel like, I have some power in this world to make a difference.
Nice, you do, don't you? You do quite a bit, I see. Do you have any other hobbies, or more or less have you covered them all?
No, yeah, on my free time, I love walking around Carpinteria. It's a beautiful town, and I really do try to take advantage that we have the mountains 10 minutes away from us, or the beach 10 minutes away from us. I love going on walks and spending time with friends just around town.
Did you go to carp schools all your life?
Yeah, so for elementary school, I went to Aliso School. Starting preschool, I went to main school here. Then elementary school was Aliso, and then I went to the middle school and Carpinteria High School.
What do you think of the carp schools, and is there anything you'd like to change about them?
I think that they're great. I've gotten a fantastic education from them. I've always tried to take advantage of the AP classes or dual enrollment classes I can do to try to kind of further my education, as well as just save some financial burden in the future having to take those in college. But I do think that we can make some changes in making some of those classes more affordable to lower income students. Like just yesterday, I had to pay for 4 AP tests, and even with financial aid, taking 4 AP classes will come out to over $200. And if you want to spend, money on prom or your senior yearbook, you only have $50 to deduct. So I think that there should be some resources to help lower income students take the classes that they want, because financial reasons should not stop someone from pursuing what they want.
What would you say are some of your strong points?
I think my perseverance is definitely one of my strong points. Despite the obstacles I've had in my life, I think where I am today is an accomplishment on its own. I do have a heavy workload for school, and I can't just go home and ask my mom or dad, like, hey, can you help me with this math homework? Because they did have an education up until 8th grade, and after that they didn't. And education was very different from them in Mexico, which was where they grew up. So I've just kind of had to become independent and look for help myself, apply to certain programs, or just take things into my own hands. But that has definitely taught me independence and perseverance, and I think those are definitely some of my strong points.
What are your plans for the future, and do you know what profession you want to have?
Yeah, so I recently got admitted into UCLA, and I got admitted into UC Berkeley in early February, and I am planning on majoring in bioengineering for both. And with that, I either want to become a bioengineer or biomedical engineer, or my goal for so long has to become a doctor, which I want to become a dermatologist and work in making healthcare accessible to everyone, like lower served communities and just anyone I can.
Do you have any advice for younger students how to do well in school and do well in life?
Yeah, I think definitely one way of doing well in life and just in school in general is ask for help when you need it. I know I said I can't go and ask my parents for help on homework or anything related to school, but the answer is always no if you don't ask for help. So I really recommend reaching out to places, applying to programs that can help you. I know that if I need help navigating my way through colleges, I'll go to my counselor. I've applied to programs such as Eureka or Mission Scholars and Reach, and fortunately gotten into all of them that have been able to help me and a ton of other students just navigate our lives through high school and higher education that we otherwise would have no help on.
Is there anything else we should know about you?
I think that I'm just very fortunate to be here today. I think that if I told my younger self that I've accomplished all this, she would be so happy, and so would my family. I think it's really cool to see how despite growing up in a house where I couldn't even do like homework in a quiet setting, being this far is something so crazy and so fantastic to all of us.
Nice. And is there anything else you'd like to say?
I don't think so. I think I'm just so happy to be here and thankful for everyone who gave me the honor to be representing Carpinteria.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck on winning the Junior Carpinteria of the Year, but winning the finalist is winning in itself.
Yeah, it really is, and thank you so much.
Hi, this is Larry Nimmer behind the lens, and you are?
I'm Sarah Faquinos,
Nice to see you, and you're
Thank
up
you.
for what?
Junior Carpinterian of the Year.
Finalist, exactly.
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born in Santa Barbara, and I've grown up in town of Carpinteria my whole life. I have attended K through 12 all in Carpinteria. I'm currently a senior at Carpinteria High School, and I just turned 18 on Thursday.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Full-time in Carpinteria.
Yes.
Have you done any community service? And if so, what have you done?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of community service. It's been honestly a really big part of my life ever since I've been younger. I think my passion for community service really started when I was in Girl Scouts. I've been a Girl Scout since I was a daisy, and now I'm what's called an ambassador.
So the young ones are called daisies. I think maybe my sister was that once. That's neat.
So
Yeah.
I used to be, I sold Thin Mints and Samoas and all that up until high school. So I've had the honor of having Christina Calkins be my Girl Scout troop leader, and so I've been involved with the Carpinteria Art Center. I've been a camp counselor. Also, over the summers, I've been volunteering at the homeless outreach.
Where's that?
It's located at the Veterans Hall.
Here in Carpinteria?
So basically what they do, it's a group of local volunteers and local businesses such as the Food Liaison and Brassbird Coffee, where I'm employed. They donate coffee and food. There's also different organizations such as Adam's Angels and Behavioral Wellness and AmeriCorps, who have social workers there, and they have shower vans, and there's hygiene supplies. There's people like that. What I do basically is I serve food and help people find the right size of shoes or pants or shirts. So that's been really a big experience for me. Also through my church too. I was baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church. So I'm at St. Barbara in Santa Barbara. So I've also done a lot of community service there. I've been baking the holy bread used for parish communion for about like 4 or 5 years now. So every time I do that, it's about a 2-hour long process. I do it once or twice a month. So that's been really fun too. And I've always helped out at church events such as the Greek Festival held at Oak Park, and lots of different things. So it's been a big part of who I am.
Well, good for you. Why do you think that you were one of the 3 people chosen? What are some of your strong points?
So like I was saying with community service, I feel like living in a town like this, there's so many opportunities for people to get involved, but it's also what you do with being involved and what you do, and just making sure you leave Carpinteria even more healthy and be like so supportive than you found it. So I think that a lot of the scholarships that us graduating high school seniors are applying for really look at what AP classes you took, what your GPA is, what your rank is. But I feel like where a lot of us shine is outside of the classroom. I feel like all of my biggest accomplishments have been outside of the classroom, giving back to my community, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was chosen as a finalist.
Okay, well, I'm sure, and more, I'm sure. What did you think of the Carpinteria school system, having gone through it, and do you have any suggestion for any changes?
Well, I started my educational journey at Kinderkirk. I loved Kinderkirk. I remembered they had a pet goose that would always kind of walk around, so that was really fun. I was fortunate enough to attend the Howard Cardin School for several years on a scholarship from Girls Inc., because I attended their programs when I was younger. And then I attended the Carpinteria Middle School, and now I'm at the high school. So it's been really fun to grow up with the kids that I met in middle school and even at the Howard Cardin School, all going up through high school together. And I definitely think compared to other schools around, Carpinteria is like the most safest, the most relaxed. There's a lot of opportunities for us. So I'm really fortunate to attend Carpinteria High School.
Nice. Do you have any other hobbies you haven't mentioned or interests outside of school?
Yeah, so outside of the classroom, I actually play 4 sports. So I've been playing tennis for 4 years, and I've been on the water polo and swim team for 3 years.
Wow.
And also just recently, I also took up track. So right now I'm doing track and swim simultaneously because I've always wanted to try it. So definitely a lot of my time is spent either on the courts or in the pool. So every day I spend at least like 2 or 3 hours doing some kind of sports activity. It's been like that for me since freshman year. And I've made a lot of friendships through sports and a lot of long-lasting memories too. Also, I love going to the beach. It's just down the street. We can literally walk anywhere in this town, and for that I'm really fortunate. So I'd love taking walks, taking my dog on walks on the beach too. So yeah, for sure.
What are your plans for the future?
So that's a really big question, you know. I feel like with all these colleges acceptances starting to come in, it's only like so far away. It's so close, and there's so many opportunities like really at our hands. Something I would love to do is, based on my passion for community service, I definitely want to have a career where I can continue to give back to communities, especially underserved communities. So I'm really inspired by the people I work with to work in some kind of humanitarian aid. Maybe I could be a project manager for some kind of international program. So my major is sociology, so I definitely want to do some studying abroad and give back to communities similar to what I've done at the homeless outreach, and just keep that as a job and a passion, and to keep on inspiring others to do the same thing.
Are you planning on going to college? And
yes.
Do you know which one yet? Or?
Well, I know I've always wanted to pursue a higher education ever since I was younger. Like, I always made sure I took the harder classes, like the AP classes. I always asked my teachers for help. I felt like I've always known I wanted to go to college. I just haven't known exactly what I wanted to do. But I think right now I'm really looking at UC Santa Cruz or UC Davis, both for sociology. I'm actually going this spring break. My mom and I are going to go up to Santa Cruz and check it out. So I'm really excited.
Well, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to change about Carpinteria, or is it
I
good?
mean, something that I've noticed is, Carpinteria, like, we're so fortunate to live here, and I feel like anyone who even comes for a day can see the sense of community that we have here. So I really don't think that Carpinteria has that many adversities that we faced. I feel like one of the main hardships that we face is whether or not to build a hotel down by the bluffs. So I think that being one of our biggest uproars recently says a lot about who we are, and I think that there's not much I would change, because I'm so happy with how it is here.
Thank you. It sounds good. You're so accomplished. Do you have any suggestions for kids that are younger than you that will be coming up through the schools, how to do well in school and in life?
So something that's really helped me throughout school is building close relationships with my teachers. I feel like that's something that especially us at Carpinteria High School can really take advantage of, because we're such a small school, and even walking around, your principal knows everyone's name, and like, oh, how was your water polo game? Or like, it's really a sense of community even at school, and knowing that your teachers are there to help you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help before or after school, because a lot of times your teachers will overlap with things that you do. So for example, one of my science teachers, I've had her for 3 different classes. She was also one of my coaches for water polo. So through that, I was able to have a relationship with her in and outside of the classroom. So I think that knowing that your teachers are there for you and building a sense of community even in the classroom really helps you get through like the hard projects and assignments and the big tests and finals and things like that. So just take advantage of all the help that you have.
Good suggestion. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I'd like to thank you for being here and interviewing me today. I'd like
pleasure.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to say, like, once again, I'm really fortunate to live in town and to continue projects that, also something that I feel like was a big part of my accomplishments was building a bridge between my church service and my community service. So my church started a project for their youth called called a capstone project, and they wanted us to pick a nonprofit of our choice and kind of see what they needed, what could they benefit from, like how are they hurting, what are they doing to help the community. So I chose the Carpinteria Homeless Outreach, and the treasury of my church gave me $1,000, and I was able to go out. I went to Target, Big Five, Ross, all the stores you could think of, and I came together with 25 sleeping bags. I purchased about 13 coats, men and women's coats. I got a bunch of socks from my church. I also purchased some fresh t-shirts and basically durable winter things for the community, those experiencing homelessness in town. So through that project, I was able to give back and not only just serve food and find them a right pair of pants or jeans, but actually know that they can go out into the world and sleep comfortably and be warm, especially all these recent rainstorms that we've had. That really pushed me to kickstart this project up again, and I'm really happy that I did, and I'm really happy with the outcome of it all.
Great.
So.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You're quite accomplished, and I wish you well at the Junior Carpinterian of the Year finals.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
To start off, can you tell me your name and where you teach?
Yeah, I'm Luis Quintero. I teach here at Canalino Elementary. I teach 5th grade DLI.
Can you tell me a little about your personal history?
Yeah, so I'm actually from a small town here in California known as Wheatland. It's about an hour north of Sacramento. I ended up going to a community college back home, and I transferred to UCSB. After UCSB, I went to study abroad, and that's where I ended up doing an internship in teaching in Italy, which was a unique experience, which brought, when I came back, I really fell in love with teaching, so I started substituting in Goleta, and then from there I realized I wanted to continue teaching, so I went to the UCSB teacher education program, and luckily I was placed here at Canalino as a student teacher, and I loved it. I love the atmosphere here. Everyone treats you like family. It's a really, really nice place to be at, and this district is amazing. Luckily, at the end of my program, there was an opening, and I was lucky enough to get a job here.
Great. Yeah. So you haven't taught anywhere else, just here in the Carpinteria schools?
As an official teacher, no. But I was a substitute. I did internships. I was a student aide when I was an undergraduate in UCSB.
Gotcha. Why did you want to teach?
Well, at first I took some classes, and it was more of an assignment. And I realized that I really like working with kids. I love seeing how they're able to think, especially outside the box. And I just have a real big passion for education. I mean, for me, it turned my life around. It opened up doors that I didn't have at first. And I want to give the best opportunities to all these other kids.
Do you have kids of your own?
No, I don't have kids. It's just me and my fiance.
And is teaching different in any way than you thought it would be?
Yeah. Coming in, I thought it was going to be, what everyone thinks it is, where it's just you come in, you teach your math, writing, language arts, but it's so much more than that. It's community building, getting to know these kids, being a mentor, a coach to them, teaching them how to, especially with their emotions, how to work with their emotions, identify them, and how to be a human being. And you're a counselor at times, but to me all that is really rewarding, because when you get to see the students become very confident and comfortable with themselves and exceed and meet their goals, not just academic, but with their own personal goals, it's just very, it's just warming to see that.
Are you able to describe in any way Carpinteria students, having had some experience before it?
Yeah. What I've noticed here with these students is that everyone loves a challenge, right? Whether it's in sports or academics, they're very open-minded. The students here have a really strong growth mindset and a really strong work ethic. In all my 5 years, and I've taught from kinder, or I was placed at kinder, to 5th grade now, they really do love a challenge. And it's one thing that's unique that I've seen here, and everyone is just happy, right? It's great to see kids happy and learning, and that's the best way I can describe them.
Nice.
Yeah.
What grade do you teach again?
5th grade.
And what are you teaching this year?
This year is unique. This is my second year teaching DLI, which is a dual language immersion program. So everything that I teach is in Spanish. Specifically this year I teach Spanish language arts, writing in Spanish, the social emotional learning curriculum I've translated and interpreted into Spanish, and mathematics in Spanish. Before I was a DLI fifth grade teacher, I was just a regular fifth grade teacher, and it was math, language arts, writing, science, social emotional learning. We also do PE, but it's really unique that this year they're not just learning the language, but they're learning content with their second language.
Nice. What specific subjects are you teaching in history or?
In history, well, I don't teach history specifically. I help the English teacher who teaches history. But here in Spanish, with our writing, we do mix it with history a little bit. And we have taught and discussed and researched how the United States came to be, the original 13 colonies, why did we decide to separate from Great Britain. We've also discussed history here in California, like the Cesar Chavez movement. We've discussed the Great Migration when slavery was abolished. But we've really focused in like the American Revolution history.
So the name of the program again you teach in is what?
DLI,
And
the dual language immersion. I mainly teach math, Spanish language arts, writing that is done in Spanish, and the social emotional learning, which is in Spanish. So it's what the students get in their regular class in the English program, but I just teach it in Spanish.
Nice. What type of students do you have? Do you have English as a second language students, or do you have any English as a first language students?
Yeah, so it's actually broken down into thirds. So a third of my class, the students come from an English-only speaking household. The other third come from a bilingual speaking household. And lastly, the other third is from a Spanish-speaking household. So the students are a resource to each other.
Do you have any suggestions to parents of students of ways that the students can succeed?
Yeah, and the most simplest one is just always read. Just whatever language, whether it's English, Spanish, a third language, just continue to read and discuss. The parents need to be involved with the students' education and just ask them, what are you reading about? Or how's school going? Maybe even get involved in school if they can. And I know that's a hard one, but those would be my biggest three.
Do you have any thoughts about working in the Carpinteria Unified School District and working here in Carpinteria?
Well, my thoughts is I love it here. I mean, when I first started, I received many offers from different school districts, but I chose Carpinteria. Here I've been welcomed. The town has, I feel like I've been welcomed with open arms. Everyone's so kind here, and just, especially at this campus, it feels like a family. Everyone's very supportive. I've reached out across other schools, and other administrators and other teachers were supportive when I first started, and they were willing to help out and give me advice along the way.
What do you feel are your strong points as a teacher?
Strong points as in?
Well, like you have a broad base of knowledge, or do you have compassion for the kids, or you have patience?
Yeah.
What are some of your strong points?
My strong points is that I truly embody building a strong community in my classroom. So I go out of my way to really get to know these students, get to know who they are, their likes, their dislikes, to create a solid relationship, because throughout the year, they may have issues, and I want them to feel as comfortable as possible to come to me for someone who just needs to listen or they need advice from, and I want them to know that I am a champion for them, which will go a long ways with education, and it makes them become more engaged. But I really want them to have someone that really truly cares for them.
What would you say fifth graders are into these days?
This year specifically, and I have 41 students, soccer. Soccer is huge. I've noticed that the the National American League, the National Mexican League for men's and women's is huge. I've noticed, and it may be this area, but swimming competitions, tennis, water polo are other big topics that they're talking about. Believe it or not, Taylor Swift is another big interest with our 5th grade students. And I've noticed a lot more students this year just love books and love to read and enjoy just reading. I do have a couple kids here during their recess times. We'll ask if they can sit in here or outside and read a book. But those are the big topics or the big interests I've noticed so far this year.
Do you have any suggestions to parents of students of ways that the students can succeed?
Yeah, and the most simplest one is just always read. Just whatever language, whether it's English, Spanish, a 3rd language, just continue to read and discuss. The parents need to be involved with the students' education and just ask them, what are you reading about? Or how's school going? Maybe even get involved in school if they can. And I know that's a hard one, but those would be my biggest 3.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, to the kids of Carpinteria, keep learning, never give up. Truly believe in your capabilities and in yourself, and you can do it. Just work hard and believe, and you will go far in life.
This is Larry Nimmer behind the camera, and you are?
I am Art Menars.
And Art, you're up for Teacher of the Year. Tell me about yourself.
Well, somehow I got Teacher of the Year this year, and I have this joy to interview with you, Larry. I am 56 years old. I've been at Carp all my career. So I've been there, this is 28 years. My wife's name is Deidre. I have a son also named Art. I have a daughter named Olivia. I love sports. It's the reason I got into teaching. It's why I teach PE and weight training and coach baseball. My mom and dad are still alive. They're 85 and 86 years old. They live in Santa Barbara. I grew up in Santa Barbara. I went to Santa Barbara High. I went to Santa Barbara City College and went to school at Cal Poly. Right out of Cal Poly, I came to Carpinteria and I haven't left.
What sports did you do, and do you do any still?
You know, I did baseball all my life. So I got to play baseball at Santa Barbara City College, Cal Poly. Played a little bit in minor leagues. I played in Mexico City for a little bit. And then I basically came to Carp and have been here 28 years.
Okay. So why did you choose teaching?
It's funny, I guess there's 2 parts to that question. I wanted to coach, and I thought by coaching that I could help others. So I got into the world of teaching because I wanted to coach baseball, and slowly it's evolved to where I realized that baseball wasn't the calling. Like I realized that I loved teaching because I just wanted to help people try or see if I could help them just be better people. And I've learned over time that it doesn't really matter the subject. I think if you find connections with people and basically get across that you care about people, that people will go out of their way back for you. So as a teacher, I've realized that if I'm kind, if I show that I'm here for you, those kids in return they'll take their shirts off for you. So I've learned that my calling, I guess, was to try to help people be better people. That's why I got into teaching.
Nice. Both my boys went through the Carp schools, and they always had good things to say about you, as did I. Do you think kids have changed in the years that you've taught, or is your experience any different?
It's funny. I tell this to kids. My time in high school and high school now is the same. It's the same problems, the same situations. Like, I don't see any different. Like, there's not one specific thing that I could say that it's different or it's been this in 28 years has passed and it's evolved to this. It seems like it's kind of the same. There's trouble kids, there's happy kids, there's kids that get hooked on drugs, there's not. There's kids that have teen pregnancy and there's not. It's same as in my day, nothing's changed. But I just feel that as a teacher, our job there is to just help kids get through things. Just like when I was in high school, there was teachers that guided me, and I went out of my way for them because they were great people. I didn't want to let them down. I guess after 28 years, one of the perks about teaching is the first couple of years are hard. You're getting to know kids, you're getting to know families at Carp, and you're getting to know the city because it's a small city. But I dove into trying to do everything the best and to lead and to guide the best that I can. And I've built relationships with people in the city now that after 28 years, their kids are coming through. And it's like they instantly like me. They go, Manaris, you had my dad. Manaris, you've had my mom. You've had my uncle. You've had my brother. You've had my sisters. And teaching, believe it or not, has become easier. It's actually fun now where I don't have a lot of discipline issues. And they respect me, I respect them, and it works really, really well for me right now. And I know I only have 4 more years before I'm eligible to retire, but sometimes you question it because now it's fun. I love what I'm doing right now.
Do you have any advice to new teachers how to get kids respect and work well as a teacher?
Ooh. After 28 years, I guess, what I've learned, what I've seen is I treat my students as if they were my son or my daughter. And the advice that I give them is if it was towards my son or my daughter. And I think kids realize that there's a love there to go, that man, that he cares for me. And once you could establish that, and I don't have the magic trick on how to do it, but I think kids understand that there's a genuine care from that teacher, that kids will respond back with, I'm gonna go out of my way for that person. So if the subject matter, I've always said this, it's important, but I really feel that we have to build relationships first before we could teach subject. And that would probably be my biggest advice for new teachers is get to know kids, talk to them, understand their situations. Remember that you at one time were a child too, and you were in high school too, you were in the middle school too, and the things that you went through. Don't forget those things now as an adult, now you're the leader. So you could think back at your times and go, okay, I remember I did act like this and I do things like that, and have a little compassion. So.
Nice. Do you have any suggestions for parents on how to help their kids do well in school, and kids too for that matter?
This might be a tough thing to say, but I thank my father for it. And it's just advice. But I remember my dad, when I first had my daughter, right when she was born, he looked right at me and goes, remember, your daughter's gonna have a lot of friends, but you're not him. Like, you're not a friend, you're gonna be a parent. And that means someday they're gonna hate your guts. And at the moment I remember going, what are you talking about, Dad? But it made sense, because there's times where you have to make tough choices, but it's because you love your children, and they might not like you, but they still need that parent. I'm a big believer. I think that's maybe, if I say there's something different between my time or 28 years ago or my time in high school and now, is I'm a big believer in tough love. I'm a believer in not hugs all the time, not, oh, I could help you get through this, so come and talk to me, I'm gonna save you. I'm more of a believer, I'm gonna teach you how to get through the hard times. I'm gonna teach you how to get through this difficult time. And if you listen, if you remember me when this tough time happens, you're gonna think of my words and go, okay, Coach Menard said this, and you get through this. And some kids at first think I'm kind of mean or that I'm too hard, but as time passes, they come back and they thank me for it. They go, Coach, everything you said was right. I'm all, yeah. And I meant it all the love that I could to try to get you to understand that you're going to get through things, but I'm going to help you learn to get through these things.
Nice. So the tough love is partly parents may have to say things that are unpopular with the kids, but it will help the kids in the long run.
In the long term, yes, 100%.
Nice. So what do you think about teaching at Carpinteria High School and the Carpinteria Unified School District?
Okay, I know I've been there 28 years, but I love the Carpinteria School District. The one thing that I love most about it, it's small school community. Like everybody knows everybody. Families, generations of families keep coming through, and I love it. I love the small school setting. I've had chances to go to other schools. I've had opportunities, but I never bit. I liked our community. I loved our students. They're great kids. I wouldn't want to leave. And I went to school at Cal Poly in Pomona, and I remember they would have us do student teachings at different high schools. And I remember walking into certain high schools going, oh my gosh, it was more of a jail sometimes walking in, and you went through metal detectors, and it was, and you see my kids or kids at Carpinteria, and you just go, oh my God, I'll take these kids in a second. So sometimes if you go away and you see what it's like elsewhere, and then you come back to where you're at, if you were to take a look at where you're at now in Carpinteria, you'd go, I'll stay here forever.
Well, congratulations, Art, and is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I want to say thank you. I guess after 28 years, it's a nice honor. I do have to say that this type of attention is difficult on me. Like I kind of like to just stay away and help people, but I'm not the type of person that likes things in return. So this is a nice thank you. I guess the biggest positive about this whole thing of Teacher of the Year was I can't tell you how many students have reached out to me. Students that are in their 40s have reached out to me going, Coach, I just want to say congratulations. Coach, you deserve it. Coach, thank you. And it's made me feel like, okay, I must have done something right, because I have students that are in their 40s now saying thank you still. So, but that is it.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for allowing me and my camera to talk with you and put you on record.
Thank you.
Larry Nimmer behind the camera. We're here at Jack's Bagels, and you are?
Gary Dobbins.
And you are the publisher of?
I'm one of the two publishers of the Coastal View News. Mike Van Stry is the other co-publisher.
And what award are you winning now?
We're getting Business of the Year. It was quite heartwarming to receive this, especially with the new Community Awards Banquet Committee. And so, yeah, it's wonderful, Larry.
Well, excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me about the Coastal View News, the history, and whatever else you'd like to say about it.
What happened was in 1994, the Herald, the 85-year-old paper, went bankrupt and skipped out of town. I was an elected official at the time, and some people come in and public comment and said, well, you know, what are we going to do? How do we get our subscription money back? And I left my mic open, and I said, well, how hard is it to run a newspaper? And the next day, they all hit me up. And so Rosemarie Finucci, who had a column in the Herald, Sea Sales, and Mike Van Stry, who was a tenant who had a studio apartment that rented from my wife and I at that time. And so we had coffee and said, okay, let's do a community paper. And we put the criteria down in the beginning that the people in the community were so upset with the loss of their paper and the revenue, the money that they put up for the subscription base. So we said, okay, can we make it free? So what we established at our meeting was, okay, if the advertisers will support the paper, that will be how we make it free to the community by their support. And so the rest is kind of history. We divided up each one of the challenges of running the paper. Mike Van Stry took out a credit card to get our first computer. Of course, I had no idea about computers. And I took over the sales and representing the sales side of the paper. And Rosemary was the first editor. And the rest is history. In 1996, the Chamber Awards banquet in 1996 made us Business of the Year also, with Rosemary Finucchi also being Carpinterian of the Year. It was a double whammy. And each decade has brought on new challenges. My wife at the time was our office management and did it. Of course, we didn't have an office in the beginning. We worked from a studio apartment. And we did home delivery. We wanted to get our recognition, our name out there. So we did home delivery for a few years there, getting up and rolling, binding and bagging papers. And the three of us delivered papers. And I'm still a paper boy today. But each decade brought on new challenges. With the challenges came new things. My wife passed away from lung cancer. Rosemary passed away a few years later. And so Mike and I have the entity of the Coastal View now, which is our corporate is RMG Ventures, which was the acronym of Rosemary, Mike, and Gary. That's what it meant. So we've been an LLC that long. In the second decade, Mike got us involved in the American Free Paper Associations for the United States. They were free papers, multiples in New York and all of them. Some of them owned multiple papers. We were not only the youngest, but the littlest paper of it all. Over the course of that, we won over 200 national awards for everything from photography to writing about the community, our community involvement. And Michael was voted probably in 2012 by the association Publisher of the Year. He still sits on the board of directors for that, and we're still a member.
Well, that's great. You know, I know the town loves the Coastal View News. What do you attribute its success to?
Because when we started focusing on everything that happens in Carpinteria, if you haven't noticed, 90% of the time, the front page is a picture of a kid, a child, somebody from the school or activities down at the beach. So that entices Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad to pick up the paper. We also focus a lot on the nonprofits. Everything concerning our news is Carpinteria news, the Carpinteria Valley. I should mention that when we first started the paper, it is still registered as Carpinteria Summerlin, because Summerlin has our school district, is a part of our school district and the fire district. So even though we don't do a whole lot, we have one columnist that's been with us for 30 years writing about Summerlin. We have enticed the community and what happens in this community. Carpinteria charm is the people, and so we focus on that. The outside world we don't look at. We only look, if it's got a tie to Carpinteria, we want to write about it, we want to produce it. The Carpinteria magazine that came about is a focus on special events, special activities, special people, history, and that came about after the Coastal View's first 20 years.
I like how you cover the news, the hard news in the community, but it appears that you don't take sides. And was that a downfall of the paper before, the one before you?
We decided that we had, especially I was an elected official, Rosemary had been involved in a lot of political issues like forming the city, when the city formed in '65. We decided right off that our opinions were our opinions, and we wanted the public to be able to determine their issues themselves. Editorial-wise, it would come from the public. Letters to the editors, they could have their say, their speak, without us being an influence on that decision. Because papers, as you know, can influence things by having editorial. We've only done 2 editorials probably from Mike and I in the history, and one was just recently about the cost of what was doing for a free paper, because the advertisers were not able to support after what happened with them and their businesses. And so we had
during the pandemic.
And so Mike and I decided to let the community know what we were facing, because there's only one printer now that prints both our paper, the other 2 papers, and they have just been raising and gouging our cost factor. So we went public with it, and the community, it was heartwarming. The response was overwhelming. It put us back into what we had goals about letting the community. It's a community paper. The decisions and the things we write about come from the public. And consequently now we're moving in a direction where it's the community supporting the paper, and the advertisers hopefully will come back recognizing that the community stepped up so much. Because in the initial beginning, my sales pitch in the beginning was, okay, you advertise, the community will support your business. Now it's the community, it's reversed its thing with the community stepping up in the way. And the heartwarming letters and little sticky notes that we got with every check that came in and a donation factor to the paper was overwhelming for me. It was, it let us know, Mike and I, that we were doing a good job, and that they didn't want us to change anything. They want to be a free paper, free speech, and be able to have their say. Of course, we have the most famous section of the paper is Pitchforks and Halo. It's used by DJs throughout the state of California on their radio shows because they get a big kick out of it. And
Are Halos and Pitchforks or radio stations have their own?
No, they pick up and go online to look at them. It happened like 20 years ago when the Culture View used to sponsor a radio show. And some of the DJs, Rosemary and Lynn Graff at the time, were the host of the radio show with our locals. And other DJs picked up when Rosemary and them would go through and read Pitchforks and Halos. So down south, it's part of their routine, their stick on their shows. And so for years now, they go online and go right to the Pitchforks and Halos.
Are there rules for what you will and will not publish on the Halos and Pitchforks?
Yes, we won't slam by name what their gripe is about it. Usually in the description of a pitchfork, you can pretty much, the locals know what it's addressed to. So yes, we do have that, and they have to sign. They have to make sure that they put their name to the pitchfork or to the halo that they're doing, so that if there is an issue, we can go back to them.
Well, what are some of the other favorite parts of the paper?
Believe it or not, Police Beat. Police Beat was has had many different ways it was presented to the community. Sometimes in the early days, we had a couple of editors that added a little humor twist to it. Of course, the Sheriff's Department didn't like that, but we have evolved to where we just now straight go from a report that the Police Beat gives us. The other things is about the nonprofits. We do a thing in the calendar of events. A lot of it, my one big special interest is FFA, the Future Farmers of America and the program and what it represents to young people and what they learn. So many aspects of the paper are derived from volunteers that are in the community during things, Carp Beautiful, all these. So yeah, there's many areas that are projected as important to the community to have awareness of. Our service clubs, Rotary, Lions, we focus on their projects, a lot of that.
And I'm honored to do the Man on the Street column. Think I've enjoyed
And
that.
you've been how many years now, Larry?
Well, I've done it since about 97.
97. Wow, thank you. It's a very important part of the paper because of the fact that your spontaneous responses that you take and put in are quite well noted, because they'll I get hit up a lot when I'm about saying, "Did you see the Man on the Street question?" And no, I don't know what it was this week, but I'm going to go look at her right now. And I like the way that you have created that spontaneous part of Man on the Street.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm spontaneous? I wouldn't do something like go to a wide shot and get myself on camera, would I?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I know another favorite section of the paper are the letters to the editor.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great outlet for the community.
That is their outlet. That is their outlet. We have a number of ways that you can get your letter submitted. We have, like you said, there's some structure to it. No, we don't want derogatory statements made or that sort of thing, and you have to sign your name to it. But it is the voice for the people. They can have their says, and usually we try to keep it as fair as possible with both sides of a story. If we get a lot of slanted letters towards one issue, we try to look to see if somebody else has a different opinion, and maybe they would want to say something to the effect of what has been written.
In this time where newspapers are having a hard time and going out of business, what do you attribute the Coastal News success to? Being balanced?
The community, they have made it their own. It's like Mike and I are just there to do the development of the paper each week, but the community has basically taken it and embraced it as their very own.
Are there any other challenges or successes you'd like to talk about?
The main challenge is still trying to get the advertisers, the businesses back on their feet, so that they can fulfill their part of helping support the free paper idea. That is important because, like I said, the community picked up where the advertisers had to struggle. And so hopefully, I hope that will reverse soon, that they will be able to rediscover that the fact that the paper stays free because their support of advertising their business. And in turn, the community will rally behind that. They will support the businesses.
There aren't that many people in the Carpinteria Valley, but I guess the readers also are tourists who come here on a regular basis. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, we have a very vast distribution. Our distribution is probably next to none. We're on the level of some of the bigger publications as far as our distribution, so a lot of the other communities read about the success and what goes on in Carpinteria. The Carpinteria magazine is sent everywhere. A lot of the people that are of the Dutch grower population of our agriculture, they send the magazine to their families in Europe, and so it's an awareness that helps the tourism. I want to come to this spot, especially Carpinteria magazine, and the host program downtown, which welcomes guests during the summer, the tourists, is a huge distribution of making sure they all get a copy of what has gone on, the history that Carpinteria provides for them.
There's both an online presence and a print presence, right?
Yes, and finally, my partner Michael has evolved that. It's come to a point now where finally the online readership is such a vast, I mean, we have people from everywhere in the country going online to read the paper that were here as a tourist, or their family, they've moved away, and the family, and by providing it free online where you can read the paper. So I would say now it's probably double each week on our online readership of what it used to be, especially for distribution and circulation of the paper and how many copies we print. The biggest effect that we've had right now, was it's affecting all newspapers, is print.
The cost and, yeah.
Cost, weekly cost.
What percentage are the online readers? A quarter of all of them, do you think?
No, actually, right now we're probably 50% more than our distribution.
Nice.
The online is something that I thought about trying to encourage more, but as you know, getting your man on the street, people want their hard copy. They want to see that picture that Larry Nimmer took. They want to see the picture of them on the front page of their kids or their grandkids. That it's hard to reduce our hard copy distribution because they want that.
They want to put it up on the fridge and all.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Where can people get hard copies of the Coastal View News?
Everywhere in town. I probably have 35 rack system in Carp alone. Then we take in the other communities of Montecito, Santa Barbara, Goleta, and we have a small distribution in Ojai.
Nice. Are there any memorable articles or sections in the paper that particularly got interest, or when elections happen, I guess there are a lot of
elections is a big one. Of course, we just had one with a big change in the county. Our city councilman defeated a long-standing county supervisor. The bluffs, that's always been a big thing. The skateboard park. A lot of those takes on a life of their own within the community. Development in any manner always seems to take a big awareness from the community, and they want to say something about it. So yeah, there's a lot. People don't realize the news that is generated just by the inner circle of the people in the town.
Well, great talking with you, Gary. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I thank you for this time. I hope to have many people show up for our event this year, the awards banquet, April the 6th. And it'll be all Carpinterians evolved.
And it will be at the Girls Inc., right?
Girls Inc., that's correct, yes.
And what is the name of the new organization running it, and what is this organization?
The organization is Carpinteria Community Association.
.org is the website.
.org, or you can, .com, because I never remember the org part. So, but either way will get you to the site. Either way,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, congratulations for publishing such a wonderful paper. We're so appreciative of it.
Well, we should be appreciative of the community. They made this paper. Their news and who they are. They've got an identity now with the paper.
Well, thanks, Gary, and I'll see you at the awards banquet.
Thank you, Larry.